Welcome back to DissedMedia, a startup story, the podcast where I take you along our journey of starting DissedMedia from the ground up. You get to hear all about our challenges and accomplishments as we either grow DissedMedia or go bust. Either way, you're going to have a front row seat to hear it all. And along the way, we're going to have some special guests who share with us their wisdom and insights and what helped them along their startup journey to success. So get ready as we get into it and try to help those get better at what they do. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DissedMedia, a startup story. I am your host, Ben Olmos, and this is the kickoff for Season 3, Episode 21. Good to be back behind the microphone doing a podcast again, because the last time we put something out was back in November of last year, 2024. And a lot has been going on. I know at the time of that update, I kind of said that, yeah, we're going to be doing an update, and I'm not exactly sure when we're going to be coming back to the microphone. There's a lot of changes that were going on. And if you're interested in what those changes are, please feel free to go back to that past episode and give it a listen. But this season, I want to focus on building audience and building growth. I'm going to give a little bit of an update as to what we've been doing and what we've been up to this point, and really why we're putting this focus on building a social media audience more now than maybe we had previously. So, quick little update as to what's been going on with the Daily Pitch and DissedMedia as a company overall. When I took a break, I really kind of focused on building the website, making the website better, more responsive, a little bit faster, doing some back-end wiring to really improve it overall. And I think a lot of that has happened. There's always going to be stuff to do, but I think it's definitely better than it used to be. One of the things I think that was challenging to us early on is that trying to develop a social media audience with not a whole lot of content out there. And so over the last several months, really been working on pumping out, the articles, the content, the things that are really part of our overarching mission, vision, and values, which is to help create a platform that helps managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do. Now that we have over 300 articles on the website and grows every single week, feel like it's a better opportunity now to come back to the audience and say, hey, check us out, read some of the things that are going on. And part of this podcast is going to be giving regular updates on that stuff, as well as behind the scenes updates on our overall audience growth and how are we doing. And I'm always reminded of one of our early board members, Matt Sancom, said to us long ago, audiences take time, and they certainly do. We're in a better place than we used to be. We're going to go over some of the numbers here in a minute, but it is tough. It is tough to get people, 1, to pay attention, 2, to care, 3, to come back, right? So all of those things are on the horizon. One of the things that we have done since the last episode was we put a lot of effort also in creating our newsletter. Our newsletter is a once a week mailer that goes out. I'm not under the belief that every single week or every single day, people are going to log onto our website and be like, "Ooh, let's go see what's happening at the Daily Pitch." Our volume of content doesn't rotate out that much. If you're CNN, Fox News, ABC, whatever, mainstream media, we'll call it, there's stories hitting all the time. We don't have the personnel. We have the passion and the drive. We just don't have the resources to do content that frequently. We're not a buzz site like a TMZ where, you're kind of poking around for the latest and greatest. So what we try to do is create really good evergreen content that is going to help people, again, get better at what they do. But up until, I would say, the last couple months, we haven't really had the depth in our library that we would have wanted. So I think now we're definitely in a much better place. And we'll get to this in a little bit. We have some guest contributors that are starting to pop on board as well. The other thing that I focused on over the last couple of months is our education platform called Daily Pitch Academy. The overarching goal of what we're trying to do is create a place where people can get better at what they do. My overarching vision is to have a multi-layered education platform that gives people the opportunity to learn at various stages of your economic ability, as well as just your business acumen and where you're at as a business person. Starting with some free classes, right? Just basic fundamental learning that is free. Then we get into low dollar paid classes, better content, more rich information. Then we escalate up to guided cohorts, instructor led learning, where yes, you're on a site, but you're really also coming in once a week to a live session. That live session gets recorded in the event that you can't make it to the live session, and learning with a group of people. And then going all the way up to one on one coaching and development, right? So, really, like I said, hitting people at all levels of their business knowledge, their desire, their drive, their economic abilities, and bringing everybody up. That platform has been launched. We have one class out there. If you are interested in a free course in social media marketing, you can jump onto academy.dailypitch.news. You can check out that class. If you want the free code to take that class for free, jump onto dailypitch.news. Right on the homepage, you're going to see an ad for Daily Pitch Academy. It has the promo code in there. You can use that code when you go into checkout. It'll zero out the cost. You register for free, take the class for free. We're doing that free class right now just to give people the opportunity to test things out. I hate to charge people a dollar amount if things don't quite work the way that it should. So, good opportunity to grab something for free and test out the platform. All right, so that's a little bit of what's been going on so far. One of the other things I want to do in these podcasts, going to try and get them rolling out weekly, is to just give you an update on the stories, right? Some of the content that's being pushed out. So if you haven't had a chance to jump on the website, here's some of the things that we've been talking about lately. Put out an article about the Gen Z workforce, and there's a lot to say about the Gen Z workforce. According to a Deloitte 2025 survey, many Gen Z workers are willing to give up salary or bonuses in exchange for education. There's a growing number of Gen Zers who are looking for the opportunity to get better at what they do, getting certificates and knowing that their company is interested in investing in them in that way. And they are foregoing perks like ping pong tables or free soda, free food in the break room, in exchange for something that's a little bit more tangible and marketable. That is an interesting article. If you have Gen Z workers in your workforce or you're looking to recruit them, something maybe to check out. Another article that we did was on Ryan Trahan, who is a YouTuber, did a 50-state challenge. The goal was to stay in 50 states in 50 days, all Airbnbs, all in an effort to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And successfully were able to accomplish that. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this challenge was, one, the community that it built, but two, this YouTuber, definitely on the higher end of people who get views and capture an audience. Each video was pulling in between 2 and 3 million views within the first 24 to 48 hours. And what was compelling about that was, if you donated so much money, like at a $5,000 donation, he would do a live read of your donation. I saw a lot of businesses were taking this as an opportunity to not only say, hey, thanks for raising the money, but also like, hey, if you get a chance, stop by our website, stop by our business. If you download our app, we will contribute even more money. There was a gaming company that donated over $600,000, started out with a $100,000 donation, moved that all the way up to nearly $700,000 by the time they were done. And basically saying that, everybody who came online, downloaded the app, they would donate $1 and just grew their donation. What was interesting to me is that at that $5,000 level, you could capture an audience that rivals what you would get on television. You've got a YouTuber who's pulling in an audience of millions, and for $5,000, you can reach that audience. To me, it was a very compelling opportunity. If you watch the series, you will see that it actually paid off for quite a number of people. Next up, we had a story on solo founder entrepreneurs. And this was a fun story because it really kind of focused on three individuals who started companies. They are the sole employer, the sole employee, employer and employee, I guess. And their businesses are netting between $1 and $3 million a year. Now, granted, these are very tech heavy businesses. What's interesting is the fact that given the tools and resources we have, and I felt like this was a story that really kind of resonated with the ambitions of DissedMedia. Like them, we are a very bootstrapped organization. We don't do paid advertising. All of our reach and our growth is through organic means. It's a lot tougher, no doubt. And we really always got to be focused on building a product that people want to engage in and enjoy. In their case, they are building applications or add-ons to applications that are lucrative for them. And just find that it's one of those stories, one of those things to think about what you can really do and unlock as an individual these days with the resources and tools around you, and how it can be very beneficial and financially rewarding. Next, we went into quiet coaching. Quiet coaching is really all about giving feedback in a way that doesn't feel like that arduous feedback session that you have once a month, or gosh, who am I kidding? Once a month. A lot of times businesses are doing annual reviews and you're not getting your feedback until that point, 6 months into the year, and then maybe again at the end of the year. Quiet coaching is really all about providing incremental feedback throughout the year and increasing engagement and motivation that way. And really good article if you are a manager, if you have a workforce, if you find that you're not really making the time to do the kind of feedback that you want, some strategies in there on how you can up your feedback game. Lastly, I want to get into one of our new contributors, gentleman by the name of John Pabon. If you have listened to us, if you've been paying attention to us in the past, John, we did an interview with him back in season 2 of the podcast. He had just dropped a book around greenwashing. I found it a really fascinating topic. I discovered John on TikTok, reached out to him, had some great dialogue back and forth, had him on the podcast. And recently, John, I keep up with him on LinkedIn, and he's always posting these really intriguing, interesting topics. I reached out and I said, "Hey, John, I love your LinkedIn posts. If it's okay with you, would you mind if I replicate them as articles on the Daily Pitch? It'll give you a little bit more visibility, and would love to be able to do that." John graciously said, "Yes, not a problem. Feel free to do that. Happy to help out that way." Recently, we put out an article. Well, actually, this is the second one we put out by John, but given that we are just now starting the podcast, here's the first one that you'll hear on the podcast. John did a really cool post on fast fashion and the companies like Shein, LVMH, Zara. A lot of these folks are in the business of pumping out affordable fashion for people. And the big question is, where does that fashion end up after its use, after people are done with it? Because, with affordability, oftentimes comes waste. Currently, there aren't a lot of really big programs spotlighting that waste and where clothes go once people are done with them. And so John brings some good insight into how these landfills are really being affected by fast fashion and the fact that we don't really have quite the focus on that stuff yet. So those are the big stories that we had for this past week. If you want to check them out, please go to dailypitch.news. Would love for you to take a read and just appreciate you guys taking a listen. All right, next, what we'll wade ourselves into is, how are we doing socially? How are we doing as a business overall? We're in the business of trying to capture attention and capture eyeballs and get engagement and all that wonderful stuff. And so, how's it going? As anybody who has been paying attention to us know, I'm going to assume that if you're hearing this, maybe this is your first time even learning about the Daily Pitch or DissedMedia, what we're doing. We started this venture as a pure organic exercise in let's see how far we can take a initial investment of funds, building a business and, lighting the fuse and seeing what happens. After 2 years now, it's been slow. because we are focused on building an organic audience. It's slow because building an organic audience is tough. We don't pay for advertising to put ourselves out there. I don't have the resources to pay for contributors. Everything is really my passion driving this thing and pushing it forward with the help of my board of advisors who are always willing to give some feedback. Some of them have even chimed in with their own articles. As you saw in season 2, one of our board members, Alan, is really involved in helping the podcast out. But we're not spending money on building our audience. The thought being that, sure, we could do that, but what's going to happen when we stop spending the money? It's probably going to die off to a certain degree. And the audience that is left, is that enough to sustain us? So I rely on, what I hope is that we're creating interesting content that you guys find it interesting as well, that you share it with coworkers, with family, with people who you think would also enjoy listening to and watching videos like this and seeing this kind of content. So that's what we are relying on. Let's see how we are doing so far in achieving our goals. Our website traffic, you might have heard me remark in previous podcasts, if you even heard our previous podcast, that our audiences were around like 100 a month, 150. We got up to like 200-ish a month. We are now pumping out nearly 1,000 visitors a month. We are just over 900 visitors, hoping to get to 1,000 very soon. What worries me about that number is we had a couple weird anomalous days where we shot up 300 visits in one day. Then we had another day where it shot up like 180. Part of that high number is a little bit of these spikes in data. I'm not exactly sure what drove those spikes. I would love to think that it was viral articles that we've put out. Unfortunately, I haven't seen long sustainability for that. Even still, our average number should peg us a little over 800. So I'm feeling like the 900 bump is due to a couple of those anomalous spikes. And hopefully we'll get a few more of those and take us over 1,000. At the end of the day, we are doing a better job of SEO optimization. We're doing a better job of finding the right keywords that really, when people are searching for topics on Google or coming across our content, it's ranking high on Google and it's being served up to them. Great. We're in a good position there. Here's where we're doing terrible. We're doing absolutely terrible in our social media following. And this, oh man, I'm hoping that you guys have some mercy on me. Maybe give us a follow here. Our company webpage is 254 follows currently. So if you are on LinkedIn and you find DissedMedia, 254 follows. And if you go into our website, by the way, there is a button there. If you want to follow us on LinkedIn, you can just click that button and give us a follow. I would certainly appreciate it if you did, because I really feel like the LinkedIn audience is kind of our audience, because again, our overarching theme of managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs getting better at what you do, that's kind of where they hang out, right? So I always look at our LinkedIn numbers as the thing to go after. But because I also know these other platforms are beneficial, I'm reaching out to you here as well. So as far as, oh, by the way, also as far as just podcast subscribers, I think we have like 6. so it'd be awesome if you're listening to this podcast right now, whatever app you're using, just give us a follow. That'd be awesome. TikTok, we actually have not so bad TikTok numbers. So 51 followers on TikTok this week. We're going to see if this video makes any difference. That's what we got so far. On X, we have 29 followers. On Facebook, we have 20. Threads, which, I get it. I mean, Threads, it's a nice attempt. It's just not really doing anything. We got 6 followers on Threads. And YouTube, and again, purely my fault. We just haven't taken advantage of YouTube. We're going to change that. We've got 3 followers, which is not great. The newsletter is something that we have been putting a lot more focus and attention on lately. And we're probably adding a little over 30 or more subscribers a month on our newsletter. Would love it if you guys jumped on that. Give that a follow as well. Just because it's a place where you don't have to worry about hitting the site. You just once a week get an email, jump into the topics that sound interesting to you. We're going to cover them a little bit on this podcast as well. But if you give the newsletter a follow, that would be awesome. Right now, we have 258 subscribers on our newsletter. And like I said, really something that we've been focusing a lot more energy and effort on over the past couple months. it's growing. We're getting more subs and fewer drops each month. So that is great news. What is also great news is we got an advertiser on the newsletter, a company by the name of Essential Properties. And what Essential Properties does is if you're an owner of a business and that real estate you own for that business is something that can be tapped into, the folks at Essential Properties help to free up cash so you can invest that cash in your business and make it grow. So thank you to Essential Properties for sponsoring our newsletter, giving you a shout out on the podcast as well. And again, very thankful for that. And that's one of the things that we are ultimately trying to do is just, grow things, grow our audience, put people in touch, educate people, put good content out there, all of that wonderful stuff. And, little by little, it is coming together. As part of that overall strategy of how it comes together, we really focus heavily on putting content out there that resonates with people. I do a lot of work trying to find the right subjects, the right topics, the right keywords. The articles that I've been putting out lately, and really have been doing this for the past many weeks now, everything that I put out, I'm kind of putting my academic hat on. One of the things that I think is missing sometimes when I'm reading things is what's the source? I hate when people say a lot of, or people are saying, and blah, blah, blah. And it's not, where are the facts to that? Is it people are saying, or is it the author is saying, and they just are trying to present themselves as the voice of many people? And it's really just their own voice, not backed up by any facts or data or anything like that. So one of the things I try to do is find academic research papers that back up what we're talking about, the articles and the topics, and bring in research and information. And so one of the things that I try to do to make us a little bit unique and give us an edge is making sure that all of our content is sourced and backed up with academic science and stuff like that. So we do that. We keyword search, make sure the content's good, and always try to tie it into things that are relevant in business. So far, so good. I think we're doing okay. All right. Last thing I want to try and wrap things up with is listener questions. I had a question that came across me recently. The way this question came across was I was teaching a class over this summer and had a student I was doing a little breakout session with, a one-on-one conversation. And he asked me, he says, you teach, full-time job that I do. You got this website that you run. You got this education platform. Like, he's like, all these things. What keeps you motivated? Why are you doing this stuff? It's a really good question, because one of the things I was sharing with him, as I'll share with this audience as well, is, we got a sponsor recently. It doesn't cost much to advertise with us, just so you know. Hint, hint. Anybody want to advertise with us? It doesn't cost that much to advertise with us. Right now, after almost 3 years of operating DissedMedia, we are completely in the red. We've made very little money. This is really a pursuit of passion, a drive that I have to do this because I really enjoy the process of it. I like to see how far things can go. And right now, I don't mind investing my own time, energy, and effort in putting this stuff together. There will probably come a time where I have to ask myself, if this continues to not make money, if we continue to not really have an audience to reach out and monetize or grow in any way, can we still sustain doing this? I'm hoping that I don't ever have to do that. I'll be honest with you, folks, I'm not looking to, like Ryan Trahan raised $11.5 million for St. Jude, and that's fantastic that he's got that kind of audience and pull to do that. I'm not looking to be a full-time YouTube influencer or anything like that. I'm looking to break even on this venture. I'm looking to break even and keep things sustained. I'm looking to eventually bring on more contributors. I have so many people I would love to pay to contribute to this and make it really a lot more interesting. People I've worked with professionally who, quite honestly, I would really not want to approach them and be like, hey, you want to help me with this thing and put time and energy and effort in putting an article out, and oh, by the way, you don't get paid for it. I don't know if I can do that. I think people should be fairly compensated for their efforts. And, even like with John, I'm just lifting his LinkedIn post and saying, hey, I want to amplify what you're already putting out there. I'm not asking you to do anything special just for me. but there are definitely some writers and contributors and people out there that I would love to be able to reach out to. So what I'm saying is that as our audience grows, as our reach grows, I'm looking to reinvest. I'm not looking to take from. I would love to be able to recoup my investment here. And we're going to get into that, by the way, next week's episode. But that's really what the journey is all about right now. When people ask me, what is your drive? Why have all this energy and effort against this? Well, one, that overarching vision. I think education is in an unusual place today. I think there are a lot of people who don't want to go to college, but that doesn't mean they don't want to learn. There are a lot of people who have gone to college and didn't quite get out of it what they realized they wanted now that they are in the workplace. And I think there's an opportunity for getting information and insight from people who have a proven track record for accomplishing things at scale, right? Big business. The other thing that I see out there is that there are a ton of people who really overcharge for, sometimes they call them mastermind groups and professional sessions. I don't know, whatever the hell they call it. I think there's a lot of charlatans out there. I think there's a lot of people who take advantage of folks. I think there's a lot of people who would love to own a business, run a business, but they just don't know how. My fuel, my energy around all of this stuff, around doing this, about taking my own unpaid time, investing hundreds of hours in this every year. It's all driven by the fact that, man, I just want to see how far this can go. I just want to see how far we can take it. And already gotten some really good signals, already gotten some good feedback, good engagement. I think there's more runway to it. Every time I see numbers spike, every time I see an article get traction, we've had articles show up in Forbes. I've seen my articles show up in other people's vlogs and other people's content. And that's really kind of cool. It's really quite flattering. And so, yeah, I want to, like, this is all an experiment, an expensive experiment. People have hobbies. I guess I'd put it this way. This isn't necessarily a hobby, but I know people out there who spend money on their hobbies. It could be cars, woodworking, photography, whatever it is, but they are spending thousands of dollars on that hobby. Guess what, folks? This is kind of my hobby. This is the thing that I'm having fun at, enthusiastic about, what I enjoy. And that is what drives me and what continues to make me want to see how far this can go. It's that person who, starts woodworking, right? They build a birdhouse and, it's probably not the best. They look at it later on and they go, I could have done this part better than that part. I'm going to make another one. And then they do it again. And then they're like, that was better than the first one, but I'm going to try it again. Let me try building something else. And so they just experiment and they continue to do it. And they continue to take their own time, energy, effort, and money in doing these things, not because they're going to be a carpenter, not because they're going to be a master craftsman, because they just want to get better at that thing. That's what we're trying to do here. I'm just trying to get better at this thing. So anyway, that is question of the week. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this thing, close it out, because the goal here is to keep these 30-ish minutes or less. Going into next week, we're going to do another round of what we posted on the Daily Pitch. We're also going to see what the effect was on our social media and our website count and all this. So if you're hearing this or you're seeing this in social media, you've come across this video, please go to dailypitch.news, check out any article, land on the site, click on something, give me some feedback, let me know how things are going. If you're listening to this or watching this on a platform of your choice, hit like, hit subscribe, comment, feedback. I'm going to go through all of this and just see how far we can take this. All right, next week, we're going to get into what does it take to invest in this startup? How much have we invested? And what are the hard dollars? And then what are the soft gray dollars that have been attributed to this? Thank you all very much for checking this out. I appreciate your follow, your commentary, good or bad, doesn't matter to me. I just appreciate the fact that you stuck it out this long and gave us a listen. I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate your likes and your follows. And I will see you next week. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to DissedMedia, A Startup Story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of DissedMedia Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@dissedmedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes or information about our guests by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.